Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
Well, that was depressing. The Phillies lose game one of a must-win series against the Tampa Bay Rays. Is it shocking? Is it shocking that they had a 3-run lead and then their bullpen had to enter the game in the 5th inning and then what do you know? Poof, the lead was gone. No, that's not shocking at all because that's who they are. This is their identity. This is who they have been all season long. So it should not be shocking whatsoever. It's just disappointing, that's all. It shouldn't be disappointing because it's inevitable, but it doesn't mean that you can't feel sad after a loss like this, knowing that, hey, there was a small chance, but there was still a chance that you would see them in postseason play. Not that it would matter anyway, because when you have one of the worst bullpens ever and the worst bullpen since 1930, I don't care if you sneak into the playoffs or not, you are going to fail miserably, and there's no expectations to actually do anything. It's still crushing a bit, though, just because, look, here's a big series, right? You still want to see them do it. Even though there's no chance to do anything, you still want to see them doing it. When you have Vince Velasquez on the bump in this type of scenario, well, guess what? You're screwed. You're absolutely screwed because we know what Vince Velasquez is. We know what he is at this point. He's not good. Do we need more time? Do we need to analyze what Vince Velasquez is more? Is there not enough tape? 5-inning Vinny. Now, we are broadcasting live from the Manscaped Man Cave. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BROD at manscaped.com. Early on, you got Boom. You got Bryce Harper running around the bases like it's Little League. Then he does it again in the 5th inning. He steps up and gets a big knock in the 5th. It's 4-1. I thought Scott Kingery, look, he's a righty going up against a righty in Morton. It's not like Kingery had a phenomenal season all season long. He's actually been piss poor. But over the last handful of games or so, he's been putting together better at bats. But I thought, look, in center field, you could put Hazley in there. You get the lefty at the plate, which is what you want against a right-handed pitcher. They elected to go with Scott Kingery, and look, it looks like a genius idea at this point after he has the type of performance that he did offensively. You had guys step up in certain moments. It's 4-1. You have a 3-run lead. You have a 3-run lead in this baseball game in a must-win opportunity, and when your starting pitcher can't go deeper than 4 1/3, you're in trouble when you have to go to this bullpen, and this is reality. You have a failure. That's what you do. You have a failure. Tommy Hunter, I thought he struck out Phillips in the 6th inning. Apparently he didn't, and then what do you know? Boom, here's another pitch, and it goes yard, and it's a tie game 4-4. It was 4-3. I thought it was a great pitch by Tommy Hunter. It was up top, inside corner. I started walking to my kitchen as if I was the pitcher walking off the mound to the dugout, or walking off the mound to the dugout. Nope. I couldn't believe it. What the hell are you looking at? Now, it's not the umpire's fault that the Phillies lost this game. They stink, and they would have lost anyway. Because no matter who goes on the mound, no matter what their ERA is, no matter what they've done in this league earlier in their career, they will not execute. They will get rocked. The other team will find a way to score runs. They will barrel up the baseball. It doesn't matter who. It would be Mariano Rivera. And guess what? He'd walk in. Mariano Rivera would walk up on that mound, and he would get shelled in 2020 in a Philadelphia Phillies uniform, whether you like it or not. That's how things would actually go down. So poor Tommy Hunter. I thought he had that one. Tie game 4-4 when he leaves. Brogdon in the 7th. All right, you want to talk about Brogdon in the 7th? He was electric. Without a doubt, electric. In the 8th, Joe Girardi goes with Adam Morgan. Now, if you looked at the lineup, there was a lefty involved, and probably went analytical on you, took Brogdon out of the game. Didn't like the matchup. Could I sit here and go, you probably should have let Brogdon in? Yes. Yes, I could sit here and say that. But when you have the most disgusting bullpen since 1930, 90 years ago was the last time a bullpen was this pathetic. It's hard for me to really dive deep at Joe Girardi. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think Joe Girardi had some fantastic season by any means. I'm not saying Joe Girardi stinks. I'm not saying that he doesn't know what he's doing. I didn't think he had a phenomenal season. But it's hard to really assess these decisions when you have the bullpen that you do. Mike Gill and I on the Sports Bash have been going back and forth for days now between Hector Neris and Brandon Workman. Because the other day, Hector Neris, after pitching two innings, his night was over. And Gill wanted him to go out for a third. But Joe Girardi went with Workman instead, and we knew how it ended. Workman allowed the home run. It was a walk-off, and that's all she wrote. But Gill's like, oh, you got to put him out in the third. You don't go with Workman. That's on Joe Girardi. I mean, come on. Look at what Hector Neris did in this game. Hector Neris stinks. So when you get to the point of arguing about Hector Neris, who has a 4+ ERA, or Workman, who has a 6+ ERA, I get it. 4+ is better than 6+. But he already pitched 2 innings, and he was at 26 pitches or so, 26+ pitches. You don't put a closer out for a third inning again. He goes, you don't put in Workman. Anyone but Workman. Look. When you get to the point of arguing a 4, 5, 6 ERA guy, and now you're complaining about a 5 ERA, a 4 ERA, a 6 ERA, they all stink. They are all pathetic. They are all embarrassing. Once you hit that level of an argument, I don't care. It's inevitable. At that point, it's all about why are you even in this position to have this type of argument? The only reason why we keep having this argument, I keep bringing it up to them on 97.3 ESPN, it's because we are so frustrated and so bothered that we are taking it out on each other when we should be looking at the real problem here, and that's the fact that this conversation is even happening. Hector Neris stinks. Now, he was put in a pretty brutal situation after Adam Morgan, but the game was tied. Men were on. Get your damn outs. He got the 1 out that he needed, and then thought he maybe get out of the jam. He did have 2 outs involved, but he couldn't. Not good enough for Hector. Giants won their first game of the doubleheader. As I'm recording this, the second game is still going on because it was a late night game for them. Well, it's on the West Coast, so their second game started at 10:10 or something like that. But the last time I checked, it was 3-1 Padres in the second game of the doubleheader. It's going to be super tough. The Marlins, they clinched that second spot, although the second spot at this point was already kind of out of the question for the Phillies. It's been all about the wild card. And now you have Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola on the bump in the next 2 games. And you would think, like, in theory, okay, you have a good opportunity to win these games, but you just never know. Aaron Nola wasn't great last game. It wasn't the Aaron Nola that we needed, and he's going to have to be the best, and I mean the best version of himself. Although Zach Wheeler pitches before him. Nola is the last game. Before we get to that, Zach Wheeler needs to put together one of his strong, super strong performances where we don't need to rely on the bullpen at all. At all. It needs to get to that degree. It's hard to demand a starter to go 9 innings, especially a guy who has a fingernail falling off. But guess what? You really don't have a choice at this point. You're going to have to go so deep and get pushed to such a far level when it comes to the pitch count. I actually saw some individuals tweeting on Twitter that, this is Joe Girardi's fault for not pushing up Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler to pitch on shorter rest. Shame on Joe Girardi for pitching Vince Velasquez. And I guess there's a valid point, right? If you're going to go out swinging with your best guys. Go out swinging with Nola and Wheeler. But this was a 3-game series. And Zach Eflin just pitched. So you want to throw Wheeler, Nola, and Eflin and find a way to make that work? I guess you could have. But it's just so hard for me to really start screaming at Joe Girardi at this point. It's hard for me to look at him and go, you're the problem. You know what? You're the problem for putting Vince Velasquez out there. After everything we've been through, this 60-game season, it felt like 162. It's been so painful. It's been so bad. It's been so ugly. It's been so awful. There's been so many blown leads. It feels like 162. That's how bad this Phillies team is this year. Realistically, that's how bad this bullpen has been this year, that they made it seem as if it was a full, long 162 season, and it was 60 games. So when I look at the 60 games that we just sat through, well, at this point, it's 58 games? Or, let me look at because now that I'm thinking about it, not everybody is playing the full amount of games, and that's why you're going through the problem with win percentage and all. All right, let's look at the MLB standings here. Because the whole COVID thing happened for the Phillies, because they played the Marlins early, the record, God, come on. The hell is going on here? I'm getting pissed off. There you go. This is what the Phillies do to me. They're 28-30. So, yes, they would play the full 60. Did they find a way to make everybody play all 60? Or no, because let's look at the St. Louis Cardinals, for example. What's 29 plus 27? 56. I'm just looking here. I know I'm all over the map right now, but give me a break. Cardinals schedule. So what did I say they were at? They have 2 games left, it looks like. And they are at 46. 46? 46? 56. 56. Whew. All right. So they're going to be playing 58 games. So not everybody is playing the full 60. But I don't even know where I was going with that. Where was I going with that? I was talking about, this is Broads off the rails. Pretty upset about what's happening. Trying to keep my mind together. Trying to stay sane. What the hell was I talking about? This episode of Sports Talk with Broads is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. With over 20 years of experience in the solar industry, they are home to your solar experts in both residential and commercial projects. They are dedicated to making sure your project is completed easily and properly by using high-quality materials and trained professionals to get the job done right. Make sure you check out their information. It's down below in the description. You watch the Rays bullpen just enter the game after Morton, and they know it is going to be smooth sailing. They got some funky windups involved. They got guys that they can rely on. I'm looking at ERA in the 1, under 2. I'm going, this isn't real, right? Wait a second. There's baseball teams that have players with an ERA under 2 in their bullpen. I never knew that was real. I thought that was only in MLB The Show. I thought that was only video games. I haven't seen it in so damn long. Not on my team. And now all the videos are surfacing of John Middleton last year talking about the second half bullpen ERA. So funny. Also talking about a September collapse, and it was about the whole Gabe Kapler thing and why they fired Gabe Kapler, the September collapses. To me, this isn't even a September collapse. This has been an issue all year. Even when they went out and made trades at the deadline, the Phillies were winning games, but I kept saying, hey, their bullpen, they're allowing runs. They're allowing solo shots. They're allowing the opponent to run home. They are giving up runs. It's just the offense is clicking right now so much that you're not really noticing it. It's not getting drilled into your head because the outcome is, hey, the Phillies are winning games. So it's easier to swallow. Yet the bullpen was allowing runs the whole time. So this isn't really a September collapse. This is just a failed philosophy from the jump. This has been an issue since they came back from COVID and started playing baseball. This isn't like a full-on, hey, here comes the postseason, and they plummet. And they just lose it. It wasn't really that way. This was lost from the jump. This was lost when the bullpen was assembled. This was lost when Matt Klentak, John Middleton, Andy McPhail sat together in a room and said, you know what we're going to do right now? We are going to sit here and we are going to take these individuals, put them in the bullpen, stay under the luxury tax, and we're going to find ways to win baseball games. That's where this thing was failed. It wasn't failed because of, hey, it was September and these players couldn't execute. They haven't executed all season long when it came to that bullpen, and that's what made this team lose all along. It's not that hard to figure out. It just sucks that you're up 4-1. You have Bryce Harper coming up big. You have Alec Boehm coming up big. Those two looked hungry. They looked ready. They looked like they were mentally prepared and focused when they were standing at the dish. Here's Alec Boehm fighting off any sort of pitch that comes his way, driving any pitch anywhere, using the entire field, which is money. It's just so money when it comes to Boehm. High-pressure situations, fine, easy. I'll do it. Cool, calm, collective. It's easy for him. It doesn't matter who's on the mound. It doesn't matter the time of the game. It doesn't matter how many strikes are on him. It doesn't matter who is on base. It doesn't matter where he's hitting in the lineup. The kid is just it. And I think he deserves the Rookie of the Year type of conversation. Just saying. Just saying. It's been tearing up this damn league. JT. 0 for 4. Need you there. I need you there. You know, I needed more out of a couple guys. Andrew McCutchen needed more. Napper. Although here's the thing with someone like Knapp. Well, he puts together this amazing season that nobody would have ever expected, right? Now that he did it all year in a game like this, do you now demand him to be better at the plate? Like, I know this isn't who he is, right? So it's hard for me to demand Andrew Knapp to hit at this 300 clip because I know he's doing it now and he did it all season, but that's not really who he is. That's not him as a player. So do I have to expect him to do that? Well, if you did it all year and now you're coming down the stretch, do I expect you to be better at the plate? Yeah. You know, Gene Segura, offensively, once this team scored their 4 runs, it was a dud. They were flat. It was bad. They need to be able to knock in more runs. You know, when you have a 3-run lead with these individuals in the bullpen, it's not good enough. Now, it should be good enough. It should be. It's not. So when you have the availability to maybe drive in another run, to get a big-time hit. Now, I didn't rip JT Realmuto, but I mentioned how he was hitless in this game. There was one that was super close to going out. I was watching the ball, watching everyone's eyeballs looking up, feeling the back wall, getting close to the wall, I'm thinking, warning track, power, understatement. Super close, but all around, I need more out of JT at the plate in a game like this. I think that's fair. I think that's reasonable, right? The play over at first base, was his foot off the bag? Was it on the bag? Was it too close to challenge? I heard Joe Girardi post-game get asked about it, and he came up with the answer. We were informed not to challenge it. So, hey, he has people watching at certain angles, and they informed him not to do it, so he can only go by what the people are telling him in his ears who get to look at the replay booth and see it from a better perspective. Super close. I don't really know which direction they would have went with. It was one of those super insane replays that I don't really know if he was still on the bag or not, in my personal opinion. Did I bet on this game? I did bet on this game. Did I win the bet on this game? I did win the bet on this game. And I used the analytics and trends on BetQL. And I'm telling you, you have to utilize this. If you go to BetQL.com or download the BetQL app and use promo code BRODES20, you get 20% off your first payment. And they give you trends, data, all the analytics you need for sports betting, even the sharp money. And at this point, I just follow the sharp money. Follow the sharp money. That's all the professional bettors. It's where they are betting. And at this point, it's like, oh, they're going here? Okay, I will too. And I'm cashing in left and right. I'm making so much money. You should be utilizing this too. It's so simple. You follow where all the pros are going. If you want to make sure your wallet is thicker, it's that simple. Check out BetQL.com. Their information's down below in the description. By the way, I'm also implementing an NFL Pick'em weekly pool, like a weekly Pick'em pool presented by BetQL. That's in the description as well. Weekly prizes, grand prizes. The grand prize, by the way, a championship bracelet from Rosnov Jewelers. You should absolutely check it out. So where do we stand now? Well, we stand in a horrendous spot. These next two games are so big. They're so crucial. Luckily, you have Wheeler and you have Nola on the bumps for these games. That makes me feel better than, hey, having to throw a bullpen game or Vince Velasquez out there, without a doubt. It makes me feel better, but I don't know. I don't know. Aaron Nola's ERA is over 4.2 in the month of September for a reason. He hasn't been very good when the weather gets colder, when it becomes late in the season. And he's going to be on the mound last. I guess I should not keep over-jumping someone like Zach Wheeler in this game. You got to win the first one before you can even think about Aaron Nola and what that start means to this team. So with Zach Wheeler, I think I do have more faith in Zach Wheeler than Nola at the moment. So I hope he shows me and proves to me that he can be the guy for this team. I like Wheeler. I like what he's done this year as a whole. He's been very consistent, and he's been a force for this team. He's going to have to go deep. Now, if I remember correctly, his last outing wasn't that great. I'm going to look up his game log now. It was like, was it 5 2/3 maybe? Let's take a gander here. I think his last start, game logs, 2020, I think it was like 5 2/3. No? You don't want to pull it up? Things aren't operating well for me tonight. September 21. Yep, 5 2/3, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 7 Ks. And he threw 113 pitches. Not good enough, right? Like when you have a bullpen like this, and when it's September baseball, and you need your 1 and 2 guys to really step up, you can't have 113 pitches in less than 6 innings, right? I need something like 8 innings out of Wheeler. I'd be so nervous in that 9th. Absolutely. I don't even know who the hell you would go with at this point. It's not Workman. I mean, I guess it would be Neris, but I really don't have faith in that. My guy at this point was, honestly, and this just shows you how bad it is, not so much how I feel about this individual. And I know he allowed a homer today, but realistically, he struck out Phillips before he was able to even hit the homer. It was just a poor call by the Blue. It would be Tommy Hunter. And that's just showing you how much I don't have faith in the other guys, more so than how good I feel about Tommy Hunter stepping into a spot like that. But I need like 8 minimum out of Wheeler. Is that too much to ask? I don't think it is. He's not your 4th guy. He's not your 5th guy. We're talking about your 1-2 guy. So with that being said, in this type of moment, in this spot, with where the season is, I think it's very reasonable to go, Zach, I need 8, dude. I mean, realistically, I need 9, but it's hard to demand 9 out of a guy. You got to give me 8 because you look what happens. Now, I wonder what Connor Brogdon might get down the stretch here in the next 2 games. He had some legit stuff in that 7th inning. Strikeout, strikeout, strikeout. And that's why when you think about that 8th inning, could he have went back in? I think he could have. I questioned it at the time. Really, Adam Morgan, all right. Connor Brogdon's young. But do you go with the hot hand? Do you go with someone who looked the most dominant you probably have ever seen all season long? I don't remember anybody looking that smooth in an inning out of the bullpen. JoJo Romero, maybe? But that electric inning out of Connor Brogdon might have been the most electric I've seen out of this team all season long. Being young is in play. He struggled when he first came in. Now it seemed like he found his groove a bit more. I was always intrigued by him. I just thought maybe it was too soon. Not ready yet, but he has somewhat dialed in and really settled down, if you will. I wouldn't have been mad if he went out there in the 8th. I did question Adam Morgan, but you go with someone who is a little bit more experienced. You saw the lefties in the lineup, although the pinch hitting played a role. I didn't love Adam Morgan, but once again, it's like, is Joe Girardi making that move this year the difference? I don't know. If you have a whole entire fresh bullpen, do those type of moves, you don't look at the same. Like if you have a bullpen that's competent, right? A bullpen that can actually do something. If you make that move and you actually have a bullpen that makes sense, you don't even double guess it. You go, all right, Brogdon did the 7th. You pull out your lefty in the 8th. He's going to do it. And then you go to your closer in the 9th. If you have a bullpen that actually works, that actually makes sense, you don't even think about double guessing it. You're only double guessing it now because he looked good when you have 7, 8, 9 pieces in that pen together as a whole. That stinks so much. It's so hard for me to put the blame on him. And I'm not saying he was great, because I don't think he was great this season as a manager making a ton of decisions. But how do you assess a man who has literally no options? You have no options. We're talking about how great Connor Brogdon is. The dude's ERA is like 5. He's been better as of late, but it's not like he's not using a dude with a sub 2 RA. And he's going with dudes who have 4, 5, and 6. This is just what it is. You know, so it's clearly disappointing. It's very frustrating, but it's not shocking. Doesn't it feel this should be the way that it goes down? Like the next couple of days, you should see more of this. You should see an early lead, offense stall, bullpen blow it, and then you go into the night and you go into the offseason going, all right, how do we fix this? See you later, Matt Klentak. And you start from there. See you later, Andy McPhail. And you go from there. John Middleton, too, though. He's a fraud at the moment. He's a fraud. Let's see what he comes up with. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.